Hi guys. So far we've covered stick protection and shooting. So a natural progression from those two videos would be dodging. But I'm not going to do dodging today. What I'm going to talk about is how to set up the defender. See, a lot of you guys, you know the dodges, maybe you don't. So we will cover that. You know the face dodge, you know the split dodge, you know the bull dodge, maybe you know the swim dodge, and maybe you know to put some other action into those dodges to make them effective. But that's not enough. You have to learn to set your defenseman up. Otherwise, the defenseman's going to have an easier time with you. So it comes down to really one thing, and that is you have to vary what you do out on the field. Not get in a groove, because if you do, your defender's going to make a move on you, and of course you don't want that to happen. Let me just make one comment about terminology. I know a lot of you know this, but when we talk about the right side of the cage or the left side of the cage, we always do it from the goalie's perspective. So I'm the goalie. This is the right side of the cage. If you're up at midfield, you look at it, you think it's the left side, but it isn't. Right side, left side. Okay. So let's start some dodges from behind. Let's say you're at X, and you're going to move to the right side of the cage. You're going to come around, and you're going to affect some dodge after that, like a question mark, or you're going to roll inside, or whatever. Maybe you're going to make some moves behind the cage first. In any case, one thing I would suggest, and that is you get the ball behind. Don't show the defenseman your full speed right away. I'm not asking you to just mosey on towards your dodge, but don't show them the full speed. And do that maybe 2 or 3 times before you even think about dodging. You're gonna offload the ball to a midi up top somewhere or on the side, and then you're going to show the defenseman your full speed, and it's going to keep him off balance. The other thing is, let's say you do a double change of direction behind the cage. Well, that's a nice move because the defenseman, his body's going one way or the other. But sometimes on that second change of direction, you're not going to actually change direction. So the point is that instead of doing the second change of direction, maybe you just use the rocker step, which is kind of a feint, and we'll cover the rocker a little bit more. You can also, let's say you're going to the goal line extended, and you do a change of direction to come around to the left side of the cage. And you do that a few times without actually making a move to the goal or not being serious about it. And you're offloading the ball. Instead, you can do the rocker. The defenseman says, "Oh, he's changed direction twice on me here," and he leans a little bit more. And instead, you go back the other way, right to the cage. And so that's an example of how you set up your defenseman. The other thing is, let's say you have the ball at X. You come in and you back off the defenseman. Now the defenseman's going to do one of two things. He's going to not follow you, and if that's the case, then you can look for a pass. But if he does follow you, he's moving towards you, that's when you really use a burst of speed to go to one side of the cage or the other. That's a good way to set up your defenseman. The the point again is vary what you do. You know, if you change direction, sometimes use a split dodge behind to get an advantage over the defenseman. Another thing is, and you know, you don't see this often, but you can use a back step. The defenseman's moving one way, you're moving backwards actually. You know, you only do this, say, 2 or 3 steps. As he moves this way, then you start moving the other way. You have the advantage. It's kind of like basketball. Now, if you're at the midfield, let's say you're doing a bull dodge down the left alley. You do a couple again. Maybe you don't use your top speed, and then on the third one, you use your top speed, and hopefully you get the best of the defender in that way. The other thing is, if you do 3 bull dodges, now you roll back the other way. I'm assuming, you know, if you're coming down the left alley, that you can roll and use your left hand. If you can't do it, that's something you really have to work on. So give this a try. Think about it, and because there's so many combinations of how you can do this. Just don't get in a groove with your defender, and trust me, you'll be able to get a step on your defender, which is really all we want. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is, again, behind the cage. You're backing off your defender a bit, and now you're going to come right at him. You're going to juke one way, just like you're running football. You're going to juke one way, and you're going to juke the other way. Again, it gets him off balance, and then you're going to break for the third move. You're going to juke back and then go straight to the cage. In all of this, you can throw in a stutter step. So you juke one way, you juke the other way, you use a stutter step, and then maybe you use a split dodge on him. Again, it's all about getting the defenseman off balance. Now, once you've done this, you can run at your defenseman and then just use your top speed to go to one side or the other. Now, maybe he's looking for the stutter step again. Maybe he's looking for you to juke. So there are other ways, you know, to set up your defenseman, and I want you to think of those ways, but I want you to think about the things that I've talked about here. So once again, have a good practice. Give me any comments that you want. List some things, other things you'd like to talk about that you're not totally clear on. Have a good practice. Take care, guys.